Hi students, welcome to the online classes. So, myself Sai Kumar, faculty of physics in Montessori's English medium school, Ellarpeta Palakul. So, today I am going to start 8th class lesson, that is force. So, this is the session 1. So, let us know about what is force. So, generally if you find any object, what is the state of this object? What is the state of this object? If you find, I will say the state of this object as it is in rest state, it is in rest, it is not moving, it is in the state of rest. This object, this particular object is in the state of rest. What happens if I apply the force? What happens if I apply the force? If I apply the force, the object is in motion. If I apply the force, the object is in motion. What was happened here? The state is changed. So, initially the state is rest. After the, what is the state of the object? When I have applied some force, some object state is changed. It is changed. Initially it is rest, it is at rest. After it comes into motion. So, by applying force, what was happening? State is changing. By applying force, what was happening? State is changing. There are several physical quantities are there. Mass is a physical quantity, length is a physical quantity, time, velocity, distance, displacement, acceleration. There are several physical quantities. Force is a one of the physical quantity. For example, if you take mass is a physical quantity. Mass is a physical quantity which gives the quantity, physical quantity. It describes the amount of substance. Mass describes amount of substance, quantity, amount of substance. So, in such a way, so mass is a physical quantity which describes amount of substance. Force is a physical quantity. Force is a physical quantity that changes the state of the object, which changes the state of the object. So, what is force? Force. Force is a physical quantity. Force is a physical quantity that changes the state of the object. The force is able to change the state of the object. So, here if you observe the object, it is at rest state, it is in the state of rest. If you apply the force, what is happening? It is in motion. So, a force is a physical quantity which can able to change the state of the object. For example, so state of the object also includes shape also. The shape of the object is cuboid. Here the shape of the object is cuboid. If I apply the force, what is the shape? The shape is irregular now. Before applying the force, the shape is cuboid. After application of the force, the shape is changed. Then we can say that the shape is shifted. The state of the object means the shape is also included. If its shape is changing, what was happening? Force is applying. The force is able to change the state of the object. State means the situation of the object. It is in rest state, it is in motion, it is in the state of motion, it is in the shape. The shape is also denotes the state of the object. State of the object means it can be in rest, it can be in motion. The shape of the object will also included in the state of the object. If its shape is changing, yes, its state is changed. Why its state is changed? Because its shape is changed. So, state includes the everything about the object. So, force is a physical quantity that changes the state of the object. So, let us learn about the two terms which involves the force. So, let us learn about push and pull. So, in lower sections what we have learnt about force is push or pull is called as force. Push or pull is called as force. We have learnt that push and pull is called as force. So, what is meant by push? If the force is away from you. So, I was pushing this object, If the force acts away from you, then that force is called as push. Force that acts away from you, force applied away from you, is push, and pull, force applied towards you is pull. For example, the force, if I had an object here, I was pushing the object, and this pushing the object is force is away from me. I was pushing the object. I had an object here, so I was pushing the object. If the force, what is the direction of the force? It is away from me. If the force applied is away from you, then it is called push. If the force is towards you, I was pulling the object. Pulling means the force is acting towards us. Pushing means the force applied acting away from you. Okay. So, that is these are the two words that we will use in the place of force. So, push and pull is nothing but force, but push is nothing but the force which is away from you. Pull is nothing but the force which is applied towards you. For example, you are let us discuss some actions which involves push and pull. So, let us consider erasing of the board. So, what is the action involved in erasing the board? So, if you are erasing, for example, if you are erasing the board, it includes push and pull. So, what I was doing? Push and pull. So, this erasing, this action, this particular task includes erasing of the board, includes both push and pull. This particular work, erasing of the board, includes both push and pull. While erasing the board, what we will do? We will push the duster and we will pull the duster. We will push and pull. Push means the force acting away from us. Pull means the force acting towards you. So, you may find on some doors, you will find that on some doors it will written as pull. Some doors. So, you have to hold the knob of the door and you have to apply force towards you. Pull means you have to apply force towards you. Push means you have to apply force away from you. On some doors you will find these two letters, pull and push. Push means if on the door, if it is written as push, you need to apply force away from you. On the door, if it is written as pull, you need to apply force towards you. Towards you is pull and to away from you is push. So, let us discuss another example. Sipping juice with a straw. Sipping juice with straw. So, what type of force it includes? What type of action it included? Sipping juice means you are pulling. Sipping juice means you are pulling the juice towards you. You are applying the force on the juice towards you. So, this includes action of pulling. So, sipping of juice includes pulling. Let us consider another example. So, attracting nails by magnet. So, let us say attracting nails by magnet. So, I have placed a magnet here and placed some alpins or nails. I have placed some nails to it, near to it. What will happen? This magnet will attract these nails. What was happened? magnet is pulling the nails. Pulling means the force applied on the nails is towards the magnet. So, who applied the force? Magnet is applied the force on the nails. Magnet is applied the force on the nails towards it. It is pulling. So, attracting nails by magnet includes the action that is pulling. The magnets will pull the nails towards it. So, here the force is applied towards the magnet and hence it is a pulling. If the magnet repels, then what is it? It is pushing. So, in the same example, let us consider another magnet. So, I have placed south pole towards this side. What will happen? South and south pole will repel each other, push each other. The force is acting away from the magnet. The force will be applied on this magnet away from the magnet. So, this is a push type of action. So, in this way the different actions will involve push and pull. So, push and pull is the terms used in place of force. Sometimes we will use push and pull. Push and pull is nothing but forces only. So, these are the terms we will generally use to indicate the force. Especially push is the force that acts away from the object and pull is the force that acts towards the object. Okay. So, these are the terms we will generally use in the place of force. So, let us learn about how many different types of forces are there. So, our next one is types of forces. Especially there are two types of forces. One is contact forces. And another one is forces at a distance. Or field forces. So, let us learn about what are contact forces. Force which occurs due to a direct contact, due to a direct physical contact is called as contact forces. Force that results due to direct physical contact is called as contact forces. So, these are the forces that experiences with a direct contact. For example, I want to lift this object. So, without any contact, can I lift that? No, I has to touch this. Object. I has to make some contact with this object and I has to lift it, right. So, whenever you want to lift any object, whenever you are writing, I was applying some force on the object. So, without touching this object, you cannot move this object. So, these types of forces will comes under contact forces. So, you are able to lift this object, with a direct physical quantity only, with a direct physical contact only. This force will experienced by this object. The force applied will be experienced by this object. So, such forces are called as contact forces. So, the forces which results with a direct physical contact, are called as contact forces. Then what are forces at a distance or field forces? So, there are forces that result without any physical contact. Some forces doesn't need any physical contact. For example, I have considered a magnet, and I placed a nail near to it. What happens? It will apply the force on the nail and attracts it. The magnet applies some force on nail and attracts it. So, is there any contact here? No, there is no contact between magnet and nail, but the force is experienced by the nail. The force acts on this nail without any direct physical quantity. Such type of forces will comes under forces at a distance or field forces. What is the definition of this? Force that result, the force is acted on this nail, but without any direct physical contact. The force is acting on the nail. So, such type of force is called as field forces. What is meant by field forces? Or force at a distance. Force that acts on the object without any direct contact, without any direct physical contact, are called field forces, or forces at a distance. So, field forces or forces at a distance doesn't need any direct physical contact. Is the magnet is attached to the nail before attracting it? No, but it is applying some force on the nail. The magnet is applying some force on nail, even there is a gap between magnet and nail. So, such type of forces are called as field forces or forces at a distance. Contact forces are the forces that acts on the object. You can write like this: forces that result due to the direct contact, or force that act due to the direct physical contact are called as contact forces. And force at a distance is force that acts on the object without any direct physical contact, are called as field forces or force at a distance. So, let us again, there are different types of contact forces are there. There are mainly 4 types of contact forces are there, and there are 3 types of field forces are there. Let us look into that. So, what are the different types of contact forces? How many types of contact forces are there? So, let us look into that. So, now we will see contact forces. So, the forces can be classified into 2 types. One is contact forces and another one is field forces or force at a distance. Of course, there is some distance between the object, but force will be experienced, force will be applied. So, if I can able to apply field force, then I will lift the object without any direct physical contact. I want to lift this object. So, if I has the power, then I can lift. So, such forces will comes under field forces. Without any direct contact, if you can lift, then you are having some field powers. Okay. So, let us discuss about contact forces. So, the first one in the contact force is muscular force. So, contact forces are the forces that acts on the object due to a direct physical contact, direct physical contact that results the force. So, such forces are called as contact forces. The forces that acts on the object with a direct physical contact are called as contact forces. So, in that contact forces, the first type of force is muscular forces. The force that applied on the object with the help of muscles. For example, I was lifting this object. So, what are so here that force is applied with the help of muscles. The muscles presented on my hand, on my shoulder helps to apply the force. So, So, what is responsible for the applying of force? Muscles are responsible. So, muscles is helping me to apply force on it. Muscles are helping me to hold this object. The muscles in the fingers, the muscles in the hand is helping to hold this object, right. So, the muscles are helping. So, the force that acting on the object with the help of muscles are called as muscular forces. The force that acts on the object with the help of muscles are called as muscular forces. So, the forces which are applied by using your muscles are called as muscular forces. So, whenever you will perform several works at your home, you will write your notes. So, what was happening? Your muscles in your hand was helping to apply the force on the pen. You are applying the force. I was writing, I am applying the force on the pen, so that force how I was applied with the help of the muscles presented in the hand. We will lift the school bags. We are lifting. So, what are helping? Muscles. The muscles presented in our hand, the muscles presented in our body perform several works. So, here I was talking. So, the muscles will help. The muscles in my face, the muscles around the mouth will help to apply the force. So, in such a way, the force which acts on the object with the help of muscles are called as muscular forces. And this is a contact force. The muscular force, to apply muscular force, you need a direct physical contact. That's why it comes under contact forces. So, and the second type of contact forces is force of friction. So, to understand this force of friction, let us discuss an activity. So, let us consider at your home, do this activity. So, let us consider a tray. A tray means a larger plate, Let us consider a large plate and consider three objects. One is eraser. So, you will use eraser, right. So, take that eraser, a 1 rupee coin and ice block, a small piece of ice block. So, you have placed an eraser here. So, you have placed an eraser and a coin here, 1 rupee coin is there, and ice block. You have placed an ice block. So, this is ice, this is eraser. You have placed these three objects at the starting position of the tray. This is 1 rupee coin and this is small ice block. Place these three objects at this position and release them. Place the tray in an inclined position. And ice block is there, 1 rupee coin and eraser is there. Release the three objects at once. So, which one will reaches the down first? So, ice block will reach us first. And coin second and finally third. So, here ice block reaches to the end in a fast, whereas coin reaches to the end in the second position and eraser reaches to the end in the third position. So, here these three objects are in motion. Some force is resisting this object. For example, if you release a ball on the ground, what happens? It will travel some distance and stops at some particular position. So, my question is, I was applied some force on the ball and kept it in motion. That's why the ball is moving. Why the ball is moving? I was applied some force. I just pushed like this. So, the ball travels in the forward direction. Is it forwards like that only? No. It travels some distance and stops at some position. Who stopped the ball? Who stopped that ball? So, some force is acting on the ball in the opposite direction to its motion. Some force is acting on the ball in the opposite direction to its motion. So, who applied that force? This particular road. If you imagine that a ball is moving on a road, this particular surface of the road is applied some force on the motion of the ball and it stops. So, if any object was coming, if you applied an opposite force, what will happen? The object will be stopped, right. So, in that way, if the object is moving in this direction, the surface of the road applies force in the opposite direction. That resistance force we will call as resistance force, resistance to the motion. Resistance means opposing, resistance means opposing, resistance means opposing, resistance for the motion of the body, resistance for the motion. So, what was happening here? The ball is moving and some resistance force, some opposing force is offered by this surface, by this road surface. The ball is moving in this direction and the road surface offers some force in the opposite direction to its motion. That is why the ball came to stop. So, what was happening here? Frictional force is nothing but opposing force, that is resistance for the movement of the body, resistance for the movement of the body over another surface, resistance for the movement of the body over another surface. So, frictional force is offered by this surface, right. So, what is frictional force? Frictional force is the resistance for the motion of the body over the surface of the body. So, let us write the definition of the force of friction or frictional force, you can call it as. So, in the previous example, this resistance force is different for different objects. Ice block is getting less resistance force, less opposing force, that is why it reaches easily to the end. The coin is getting and the eraser is getting high resistance force, that is why it reaches to the end very lately. So, let us write force of friction definition. Force of friction or frictional force. Frictional force is nothing but force of friction is a resistance for the movement of the body, over the surface, over the surface. For example, here this object is in motion, So, this particular surface offers some opposing force means resistance. The surface applies some resistance to the motion of the object. I have applied a force on this object, it travels some distance and stopped there. So, what is the force acting on this object? Some resistance force is applied by the surface on this object. So, the object becomes stopped. So, what was happening here? Frictional force is the resistance for the movement of the body over the surface. Here the ball is travelling on the road surface, and this road surface offers some resistance for the motion of the body. So, this direction of the force, frictional direction, the direction of friction is always opposite to the motion of the body. So, frictional force will always opposite to the direction of motion. So, ball is moving in this direction, frictional force acts in this direction. So, the direction of frictional force is always opposite to the motion, acts opposite to the motion. Frictional force always acts opposite to the direction of the motion. If the ball is moving in this direction, the frictional force will be opposite to its direction of motion. So, with this session is completed. In the next session, we will discuss other two types of contact forces. Thank you.